Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Journey to Purpose. With me today, I have Jesseca. She is a semi-retired registered nurse turned eco-conscious entrepreneur, metaphysical coach, and founder of Cultura. Jesseca, there's so many questions to ask you, but welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
First, very easy question is, where in the world are you?
Currently, I am located in Tucson, Arizona, though I like to imagine of being on a different planet. I believe that we all have a planet dedicated to us in the world. There's enough planets that exist in the universe because of how expansive space is, that there's so many planets that there is enough planets to be dedicated to each human on this earth. And I believe that we all have a world dedicated to us. So my world that I like to go to in my mind is called Jesseca. It's a planet full of peace, and it's just a complete exchange between the planet and the beings that are peaceful with each other. And we live in abundance and happiness and joy and creativity.
Lovely. I mean, from a basic physics point of view, it makes sense. There are enough planets in the world. So,
and it's never ending.
The universe,
yeah.
Absolutely. So let's talk about how you got to that point then. So you were a nurse in the ICU for nearly a decade. First question actually before is what did caring for people at their most vulnerable teach you about what actually matters in life?
Well, I still get to work as a nurse, and caring for people in a very challenging physical transformation. It comes with its own internal challenges as a caregiver, but it also helps me remember that, that's not my situation that I'm in, even though I have experienced disability before multiple times in my life, and I've recovered from all of them. Thank goodness. Thank God. But just having an ultimate compassion, and surrender, and just a playfulness about it, because a lot of people in this world, not enough, honestly. I think it's very important. I think it's a really good lesson to experience being disabled and experience losing your physical capabilities, because that is a definite transformation that is a lot easier. And that may sound weird to say that's easier, but when you're disabled or you're stuck in a hospital bed, you can't move, you can't take care of yourself, you're in a complete mode of surrender, and you want to control, and you want to still do all these things. You want to walk, you want to run, or you want to go out, but you can't at that moment. Being on both sides, having experienced both sides, is there's still a lot of frustrations, and I still have an ego. I'm not enlightened. I still get frustrated and annoyed, but I've definitely, over the past 9 years, I've developed a lot of wisdom and patience, though I still have a lot to learn. I'm still I get to see a lot of different things. I've done a lot of different wounds where I've put my entire arm in someone's body before, and smells that I have a very strong nose, and I've, smelled a lot of things just being in healthcare and being a human being, but especially when you're dealing with someone who has open wounds, and they don't know what's going to happen, so it can be scary. But when we're so attached to our body, and we're so attached to the physical world, and we don't really have a relationship with a higher power, then that can make an experience very challenging. And the facility I work in right now, it's a really lovely place. It's like a small knit little hospital, but it's not a conventional hospital. It doesn't have an ER, it doesn't have all these other appointment places and all kinds of different specialties. It's just a small hospital that takes people after they're at the hospital, like an ICU. And we're contracted with a lot of the prisons in Arizona. So half of the patients are inmates, and then the other half are civilians. And everyone at this place is really jacked up. Like, they have a lot of wounds, they're really sick. So it's not like they're faking things or anything. But some of the challenging things are all the prisoner patients, they always have 2 DOC guards, so prison guards with them for every patient. And some patients have 3 guards because of things they've done in the past. And a lot of these patients that are prisoners, quadriplegics, or paraplegics, or have very insane wounds in their body where they're not going to be able to walk or get up, but they're shackled to the bed, they're chained to the bed. And a lot of times the guards, they stay quiet a lot of times, which is nice. But there have been, I have experienced guards saying, it's like, oh, if he gets up, I'll still get to shoot him in the back. And I'm like, you really can't surrender. You can't see just a light of compassion for someone, even though these people that, they've committed crimes and they've done heinous things in their life. And that's why they're in prison. Not everyone that goes to prison has truly committed a crime, though, this is just the way that has come to their life. But a lot of them have truly done terrible things. And I usually ask the guards, do not tell me what they've done. But some of them have just deliberately told me, which really interferes with energy and healing and just, it's sad. It's like, can you go above your ego and see this person as a human being? They are not able to physically do any harm to anyone anymore. Like, God has put them in a place where they cannot harm anyone anymore. They have no physical capability with any of their body parts. And that's where it comes to a point of going above like the story and seeing deeper behind it. And I still get caught in the story, of what people did or said. I don't know. Everything I experience in life is always a reflection, and I always self-reflect. It's just a challenging job. It's extremely demanding to be, working in medical field. A lot of people that work in the medical field are already unhealthy, and they're the most craziest people that do the craziest things outside of work. So it's all just it's an awesome system that will save your life and will save your limb and will patch you right up if you get anything. They'll fix anything. And it's just crazy, the stuff. I could go on forever about the stuff that happens in medicine. It's absolutely insanity. But, if I broke a limb, I'd want to go to the hospital. I think it's important to have a balance between Western medicine and natural medicines. But it's definitely taught me a lot more about myself and how to have patience, how to be under stressful situations. Like, before we started, you're like, don't worry, it's totally relaxed. And I'm just like, trust me, I'm like, this is nothing. It's nothing like having someone hold a gun to your head. And it's nothing like
not
blood,
life or death.
Yeah, or bones and just I've seen a lot of crazy things.
Yeah, I was in the army, and it takes a lot to get me particularly stressed. But it's a good point though, because it's different experiences, and you and I have probably seen some very interesting things in our time. But you've already touched upon how, particularly as a caregiver, how do you protect your own energy?
Yeah.
How do you maintain that balance? And I really loved your point about seeing people as humans. So I mean, the US and the UK justice systems are quite different, but I am a firm believer in seeing the human, and people are not binary. They're not all good, they're not all bad.
Yeah.
There are circumstances. And as a caregiver, your job isn't to judge on what they have done. It's where are they in this moment and how do I deal with that? But when you get these stories of what they have done and you've just treated someone, and I've got some friends who work a lot in prison reform in the UK, and one of the areas which is the most understandably abhorrent is obviously offence against children in various shapes and forms. And even on prisoner standards, like, it's the lowest of the low if you hurt a child. But you can't, I said, you don't want to know the stories, but you hear them. So how have you protected yourself? Or rather, I think you've been through a journey yourself where actually you've had to deal with the trauma, you've had to confront it. What was that journey like for you? At what point did you realize that you had to do something about your own energy and protecting yourself?
I still get angry. I'm feisty. I'm really rough around the edges. I'm a very peaceful person, and I don't initiate fights. Though if someone says something to me or shows me any kind of level of disrespect or, misspeaks to me or speaks to me in a way that is inappropriate that I find to be, and whether that be the DOC patients, which is prisoners, and the DOC guards, or anyone, I have an easier time in my role as a nurse protecting myself in terms of me quickly stating how I will not be spoken to and how I will be spoken to. Because, we're taught worldwide, and no matter what area we're in, is to be, nice and just be like, oh, no. And you got to check people. And luckily, I used to live in Brooklyn and New York, and it's like I learned a lot from living in New York. And I don't know, it's case by case because it's always different. But people don't always know how to treat you, and they don't know how to be respectful. But when you show them immediately, and you because not everyone can interpret energy. They don't know how to. We're all self-centered as human beings. And that's okay. But
yeah.
There's people that just need to be told. And that's something that I do. And that's something that I'm working on, because there's some mornings where I'm really feisty and I'm really, there's just things when I'm going to work specifically. This is a different energy that I have when I'm in the role as a nurse. Though in my personal life and with friends and other people, it takes a lot more courage for me to set boundaries and set things. It's like, this is not how I want to be talked to, or this is not how I want to interact. This is not how I see a friendship. So that's something that I still work on within myself. I have a really dear friend that I adore. It causes a lot of, I take responsibility for it, but I have a lot of heightened uncomfortable feelings when I'm around her when it's just us two because of how much she talks, and it's overwhelming. Like talking so much is overwhelming to me, and questions, psychological, like what he said, she said, crap. That's just, and it's just showing me like how to navigate my energy with whoever I'm with, because it doesn't matter who you're with. It's always you, or me, like all of us individually, who determines how an experience goes, because our experience is within ourselves. But we also have to listen to our intuition. I don't know if that answered your question.
And that's, no, yeah, that's kind of. Well, it also leads nicely on to, so you have a PhD in metaphysics, which obviously energy is part of that. So how did you?
I quit that, and I might restart it. So I am like, I have a quarter left.
You were working towards one.
Yeah, I have a quarter left to finish, and then my dog incidentally got pregnant, had 11 puppies, and I was like, I can't deal with this. So I quit that. I might return. I don't know. I've spent 12 years of my life in school, and I'm just like, what is this even doing? Like, what's the point?
Fair enough. Well, so with that journey then, so the metaphysics side of things, because you still have obviously your interest in it, and are you still a metaphysical coach as well?
Yeah, I have a coaching business called Magnetic Soul Healing. It's specifically catered for women, and what I teach pretty much is for women how to be emotionally independent. Not just independent, but emotionally independent.
What does that look like for you or for your clients? What does that mean for people who might not have heard of it before?
Emotional independence is, not only is it revolutionary on a social level, it's also an internal revolution. And I use holistic and metaphysical approaches that helps women, if it's their choice, if they choose to do this, to take themselves from being controlled by external people and situations, to creating an internal oasis where they know how to manage their emotions, they know how to handle their anxiety, they know how to handle their anger, or whatever it may be, to create an internal world where we still get to experience this life and things still happen. Like, we have these waves that happen, and we have anxiety. Like, how can we not have anxiety in this world that we're in today? And with all of these distractions around us, with little emphasis on a relationship with a higher power. So I help women take themselves from a dark place to a lighter place where there's more abundance and more freedom and more focus on themselves, instead of on men, instead of on materialistic objects, instead of titles, instead of identifications. It's just a stripping of a lot of things that are not real to the human spirit. And I'm very transparent. Like I said, I'm pretty rough around the edges. I'm a little chaotic myself, and I have a lot of chaos inside of myself. Though over the last 3 years, I've experienced, we all experience all kinds of stuff. I've experienced a tremendous amount of life lessons, difficult things, from being a drug addict to being disabled in a wheelchair, to recovering from that, experiencing more violations to my body from accidents and from other people, and recovering from all of those things, and having insights from plant medicine and connecting with God through meditation, and just building more self-love and forgiving myself, and doing all these things to help me recover from emotional distraught. I still experience that, but I recover very quickly now, which is nice. And I know how to feel okay regardless of what's going on outside. Even though, there's still times where I lose myself, I still lose my power or whatever. But it's all just, we're so focused on psychology, and not specifically the study of it, but our psychological processes as humans, which is not even true. It's just all drama. And I think it's just really important to play and to have fun, and not, talk, of course, but have the conversations be fun and light. I'm not saying to sweep things under the rug or negate things. It's like if you have a broken arm and someone's like, just be happy, just laugh. Or your car is empty and you just put a happy sticker over it, you're going to get stopped. You're not going to be able to go anywhere.
Solved. Yeah. I think it's a really interesting point, because one of the things I've been contemplating recently is how to find more joy, and thinking back to being a child, and the joy that you could find as a child in the simplest of things. Yeah. And I'm very fortunate. I do a lot of travel, within the UK and also around Europe in particular. And I think what I love about what you just said is part of the reason I think we don't find joy anymore, as adults at least, is all the drama,
Hmm.
like you say. It's all the noise, it's all the distraction. And also the always call like social conditioning that you can't play and be silly because you're now an adult and you have to be responsible. But I think if we all knew what being an adult meant, none of us would pick it because quite frankly, it's a lot of work some days. So is there anything you do daily, weekly, monthly to kind of remind yourself to keep that joy in your life or keep that
Hmm.
positive energy in your life?
There's some days that are easier than others, and there's some days that are easier than others. I meditate every day. I move my body every day the best that I can. The days that I work as a nurse, I don't get a full workout in, but I have a morning routine where I move my joints and I rotate my body all around. But it's not about all of these physical actions. There's some days where I'm crumbling. We've created this society and we're in a system that is pretty oppressive to humanity in general, to our spirit. And it looks different for every single person. But we just have to find a way to overcome the hurdles that we experience and the anxieties and the pain that we experience to just lighten up. We just got to lighten up. The the hugest thing is our focus. And this is something that I pray about all the time is there's so many things about manifest this relationship, this car, and it has nothing to do about the actual getting that thing. The whole thing about manifestation is not being attached to anything and realizing that you own nothing. You don't even own your own body. Anything can happen to all of our bodies without our permission. And it still does. The biggest thing is a relationship with a higher power. It looks different for every single person. And I'm not saying to negate things that represent wellness. It's fine to enjoy a physical thing. It's fine to enjoy a materialistic thing. If that brings us wellness, that's absolutely fine. It's like I said, it looks different for every single person. It's a case by case kind of thing. I know it seems kind of ambiguous and all over the place, but I think it's really important to just have a relationship with a higher power and to focus on that relationship and really focus on the relationship that we have with ourselves. And it's like, how do we do that if we don't know how to do that and we're still looking for things on the outside? Meditation's a huge thing. How do we control our mind? What are we focusing on? We create neuronal patterns within our brain that take us down a pathway all the time that maybe that's really uncomfortable or that causes us anxiety. And in those darkest moments, in those anxious moments, in those moments where we are not at our best, those are the best times to make a change. Because when we do something different for ourselves, that is when new neuronal patterns happen. It's easier said than done. There's some days that are easier than others. We just have to give ourselves grace. As children, we easily knew how to find joy, and we still had temper tantrums. The thing that we never did to ourselves is felt guilty about having a temper tantrum. It's okay to have temper tantrums. We need to have more temper tantrums. We need to scream and cry more often. I cry a lot. And when I feel those emotions of self-doubt or sadness, whatever it may be, I let myself feel them. And I sometimes feel guilty about it. I'm just and then I go take care of someone who has a hole in their back and I'm like, what a damn ungrateful bitch I am. I'm like, my back is fine. The hell am I crying about?
I mean, we can't all have these stark reminders to keep us humble, I guess. But you do connect the sort of the self of the love to like healing the world, essentially, like healing yourself and healing the world. So, what brought you to that kind of that journey and that conclusion, and how do you think we can do better?
Well, I don't think I really can heal the world. The world doesn't really need to be healed. Humans don't really need to be healed. We just got to let shit go. We just got to be present and stop trying to heal ourselves and fix all this stuff. We like to do all these things and fix all these things, which is absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But we're in a false society that is not true to the human spirit. And we're doing things to reach this level of being seen and seen as good enough. And it's like self-improvement is a whole crock of shit. Psychology is a whole crock of shit. And it's all about getting to a level of being seen as good enough and caring about what other people think. And that's just, as children, we didn't have that within ourselves. There are some children, yes, but because their parents are jacked up and jacking them up, the true nature of ourselves is as children. And the human ego is so silly. It's ridiculous. And it's like we think all these things, it's like, oh, I can build something, so we're a higher species. and we're higher than whales and we're higher than this or that. I've heard people talk about just the higher level of consciousness that humans have. And I'm just like, we have wars. We steal from the earth. We destroy each other. We do heinous things to each other. Absolutely not. We are a terrible species. And you know what? It's okay. That's just all part of there's a karmic cycle that we're in, and we're all here for, to evolve and to evolve our consciousness. Which I don't know, it doesn't always make sense, but there can never be nothing. Like, would we want to be in a land that's always perfect and always happy? That's boring. We need to have excitement.
Someone else said this. I think it's like one of the philosophers I was trying to reach one on, something similar in terms of like we need to have a certain amount of strife in our life to give us purpose to move forward. I don't know. Well, I've definitely had strife in my life, and it's definitely taught me a lot. Could I have done without it? Probably, but you can't get to choose these things, right? However, what I'm interested in is, so how did all this, so you've had so many experience of the traumas, of the physical and the mental challenges. How did you get from those places to where you are now, which is obviously, as you've said, still working through things, and we all are. But was there a pivotal moment that made you go, I want to change? There must be another way, or has this been a slow progression for you?
All of those things. I mean, when I was 19, I started using drugs when I was 12, and I was forced to get sober, and it was a force by God. I was in an accident and I died in that accident, but I survived.
Goodness.
Lived it, whatever. And I'm just, I did get to see the other side for what it felt like a long time, but it was just that brief moment or whatever. But it's not always about changing. It's just about going with the flow of life. And I don't know, I just have these natural things within me to look inside myself and to feel better about life and how to accept myself and how to accept other people, regardless of where they are. Because after getting sober, and after recovering, being in that accident and being in rehab for like 2 years or a year or two, whatever time. This was like almost 20 years ago. But I'm looking around, I'm like, oh, why is everyone doing this? Don't do this. This is bad. This is going to hurt your body. This is going to get you in trouble, or it's going to get you into an accident. It's like the biggest thing that animals do is mind their business. And so do plants. They don't tell us what to do. They have a natural thing of just letting us be. And that's just what we got to do as human beings, is letting us be, letting each other be. And realize that we don't have to do all of these things to be good enough or to feel good enough. We all are worthy. We all have this, we were born worthy. We were all born whole. And even though we have difficult experiences, even though we experience violations from other people, we lose a limb, or we break a bone, or we lose money, or we lose a house, we lose a materialistic thing, we lose a spouse, whatever it is, we still are whole. And a lot of humans in this current time don't realize that we die. We all die. I'm going to die one day. So are you. Everyone else is. And it's okay. Like, we don't have to fix everything. You know, in the hospital, the last couple of weeks I've been taking care of, I've been on a different side or a different hall, and it's a little bit more critical. I have 4 patients that they have a trach, they have a PEG tube, which is a tube that goes to their stomach. We could give tube feeds to them, all these other management systems down there, so that they're going to the bathroom in a clean way, in an enclosed system. None of them are on sedation. And their families are like, when are they going to wake up? And I'm like, this is their state for the rest of their life. They're never going to wake up. They're not on any drugs to keep them asleep. Their body is failing. But because you want them alive, we're forcing all of these things. And it's like, it's just an ungraceful way to just keep someone's body. You know, it's like, I'm there, I will respect their wishes and stuff, but it's just, I'm giving the most grace as possible. But we just have to let go. We have to stop trying to control and fix everything.
So when you died, and you said you sort of saw what comes next, what did you see? Has that informed how you live now as well, then, that experience?
I didn't see what comes next. I just saw a glimpse of something, and it was just, I don't know, I'm at a loss of words. I guess I got to work on this, how I represent it, or maybe I just won't bring it up again. It was just awesome. And I don't know why they're like, you got to go back. And they didn't say that specifically, but yeah, I don't know.
But I guess basically, based on that experience, you see death as something not to be feared, but to be accepted.
It's just like being born. Yeah. Being born is worse than dying. Being born is so scary. We come from the spirit world. We choose to be here as human beings. We choose to come into the body and the people that we're in, the body that we're currently in, with whatever we're around. We choose to be here. And then we're in the spirit world where we don't have bodies and everything's peaceful and happy and everyone's getting along. and there's nothing but support and love and guidance. And then we come into this little body, and we just have this little bright light shined on us. We're like, what the hell's going on? I don't remember being born, but being born seems a lot scarier than dying.
I think you're right. I mean, I didn't want to be born. I had to be induced because I was like, I'm not coming out. I don't think it's worth it. Keep me in here. Um, and yes, it's quite a traumatic process. You talked at the very start about, this belief that we all have our own planet. So how did that evolve? What was that? Where did that come from?
After studying biology and learning about the human body on a molecular level and through plant therapy, I had a lot of realizations through meditation. Is that not when we look inside of ourselves, we can, but when we realize all of the cells that we have within ourselves, like each human being, we all have billions and trillions of cells within our body. And all of those cells, all of the tissue, all of the organs, every single thing, even though it may not seem like this for every single person, but every single thing in all of our bodies individually is working for our spirit to be alive in the body. And there's billions of people in the world. There's about 8 billion people in the world right now. And every single individual has billions of cells and billions of things within themselves that is in their favor, which is a divine force, which is a God gift that we all have. So we're always in abundance. We always have abundance around us, even though there's a lot of times where it's easier found than not. So in the times where, like yesterday, I was very stressed and kind of down on myself. I just ended a really beautiful relationship that I was in for a couple years, and I was a little bit down about that. Yesterday I was. Today I'm feeling better, which is okay. But it's like when I'm in those dark times, I can get stuck in my head, and I just have to feel those feelings instead of trying to force them to change. And then I could turn my direction to other things like my cells. And it's like, if all of these people in this world have all of these things within themselves that is for them, but it's our mind that is going against ourselves, we're not going to feel it. So we're still going to see scarcity. We're still going to see lack and all of these things. And then I started thinking about space, and I'm like, the universe we don't even know how big it is. It's insanely expansive. It's scary if you think of it. Used to scare me, but we're just on a rock in the middle of space floating on this gravitational pull within a galaxy. We're one galaxy, and then there's trillions upon trillions and trillions of galaxies where it's scientifically proven that there's trillions of planets that are similar to Earth, but it doesn't even matter. We don't even have to have an Earth to sustain life. There's different life forms that can handle different environments. So if there's this many planets, an innumerable amount of planets and galaxies within the universe, there has to be a force that is dedicated to each one of us individually, which returns us to the collective or the wholeness that we all share. At work, I love this hospital I work at, and it's a really tight-knit kind of thing. And like, I'll meet a new doctor, I'll meet someone new there, and they're like, oh, where'd you work before? And I was like, oh, I take care of aliens on a different galaxy. And people are like, be careful, everyone's gonna think you're weird. And I'm like, good, I hope they do, because this conversation's boring and stupid. Don't ever, like, the go-to everyone goes is, hi, how are you? Where do you work? What do you do? The most boring questions ever. To me, I can't stand them. So I always just answer differently. And I told everyone, it was like about these planets, and more people at work are starting to talk about them. They're like, oh, I have my planet. And so everyone's having their planet at work. And one of the respiratory therapists, we have so much fun together. Her name's Zoila. And she started calling me L1 for loca, one, and then like another, which is crazy. And then she called another nurse L2. And I was like, who are you? She's like, I'm L3. So there's 5 of us, L1 through L5. Yeah, but I talk about
Amazing.
These planets. It's like, I don't always know, who knows? We don't know. We can live in our own damn world. We can live in whatever kind of whatever we want, no matter what people think of us. And of course, people can think we're crazy, and people can do something that will be like, oh, she's mentally unstable, or they're mentally unstable, whatever it is. It's not like the time where in the past, in the medieval time, where if you were weird, you would be killed or you would be put in some kind of torturous situation. That still happens in the world, but it does not happen as much anymore. And I don't know, I think it's just important to be weird and to not really just do all these social things, because it's like when we were kids, do we go to them, we're like, hi, how are you? I do this for work. I did that. It's so stupid and boring. It's like, I can't stand that shit. It just drives me absolutely insane.
So how would you approach someone for the first time? What would be your ideal way of interacting with a new person?
I usually wait for people to say hi to me, but I say hi to people too. I always, say hello, or I compliment people a lot, what I enjoy about them or whatever. But when I first meet someone, a lot of times I'll ask if they can do the splits. That's
Oh, I
okay.
can't.
You can though. It's just a
That
different
helps.
level. Can you fully touch the ground? Maybe not right now, but eventually
Yeah,
if you just continue to do it. But and
absolutely.
or I'll talk to people. Like I have to not that I have to. I get to prepare for social situations, social experiences. And something that I'm trying to get in the better habit about is just preparing myself socially, because it's really, I don't know, the experience that I had where I crossed over to the other side of the rainbow. I had a brain injury, and my life is, it's been 17 years now since then, but socially my life has been completely
Mm.
different. And I'm very, even though I've experienced this, I've accomplished tremendous things. Like I have a couple degrees and all these other things that society will define as that I'm fine and that I'm healed or whatever, which I am healed. I'm just weird now. I'm different. My brain is different. And now I just have this thing where it's just like, why are we connecting this way of just this uniform way of having conversations where we're just making sure that we're good enough and that we're in line with being seen as a good human being. It's complete bullshit. It's just I have a really hard time with normal conversations, and I still try to sit and listen and just find ways within myself to be okay, because that's going to happen around me regardless. And I'm not a conversation police. I can't control the way people act or talk, but you can move a conversation to a different thing, and you can state, it's like, oh, I want to focus on this, or
Mm.
you can redirect conversations, because people can get so lost in what's going on.
Yeah, I was going to say one thing that I have been reflecting on again is whenever you have these conversations, who are you? What do you do? That's the conversation. But the actual question, if you actually answer the question of who am I, it wouldn't necessarily be, I wouldn't say like I'm a neuroscience, I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, I'm a program manager, I'm ex-military,
Mm-hmm.
but these are things that I've
Yeah.
done, or these are labels. But when I try to answer who am I, it's a bit more complex. Well, I'm very resilient. I'm very curious, but that's not the answer
Mm-mm.
people are looking for. And of course, then in turn, straight away, I go, well, that's what I want to say. I want to say, I find people interesting. I find the world interesting. But when you meet someone for the first time, like you say, if I went, well, I'm curious. I'm a bit random. I'm a bit varied. I'm a bit weird. Many people straight
Yeah.
away be switched off. And like you say, you've then set yourself up for this really awkward social interaction moving forward, where
That's
they just
fine.
think you're a weirdo. But actually, you're more honest than anything else. Well, exactly. And I think what I like about your approach to life is you have embraced, as we discussed the pre-talk, you've embraced being weird, but in actual fact, we're all weird. We just don't
Mm-hmm.
like to admit it. And the person who says, no, I'm really normal, is either really, really boring or probably a serial killer, because nobody anywhere is without their quirks. It's just how comfortable we are in
Mm-hmm.
ourselves to show it, I
There's not a
guess.
lot of serial killers in the world, because not a lot of people have that much courage. It's actually really
Thank you.
courageous to do something. Not saying that murder is a great thing to do, but it's just really courageous to go to be okay with a hidden life. And this is not something that I do all the time.
Sure.
There are a lot of times where I try to be socially acceptable, because there's certain times and around certain people where it's just like it would just disrupt things, and that's okay. But since I've had a brain injury and I've recovered from it, I'm not the same person that I was before that incident, and I've experienced a lot of social rejection, which has been difficult. And there's a lot of times where I try to fit in, and I try to be liked, because I want to be liked. I want to have as much friends as possible. I want to, because I want to like other people. It has to do with energy though. It's just like there's a lot of people that can rub me the wrong way, and I could rub people the wrong way, but my intentions are good. I don't have bad intentions. The biggest thing is just I want to have fun, and not like, men don't interpret that as anything. Like I'm not really interested in a lot of men, because there's a lot of males are just born silly. I could say in easier terms. We're in this world with all these damn humans.
Yeah. Yeah, adulting is
It's
hard,
not hard though.
and the opposite
It
sex is
is.
also hard. Well,
Yeah,
we make
and
it
that's
hard,
what
I
comes
think
down
is
to
your
our
point. Yeah.
attachments and all of these. The metaphysical aspect is that when we project all these beliefs about the world into other people, we create this reality to a certain extent. We all have this belief system, so that creates the same statistics, the same experiences with a specific person when we have these certain beliefs. And I know I have beliefs that don't serve me and that don't serve other human beings, but we all have this power. We all have a power that's within us that can take down the society that we're in, not just take down, but change it into something else. And that's the reason why I started Compost Cultura. Compost Cultura it comes with 3 things. I'm obsessed with trash and compost, but the business comes with 3 things. And the first thing is composting. The second thing is changing our consumerism habits. And the third thing is having a metaphysical approach to how we handle trash and how we deal with the current environmental issues that we're having. And which is through gratitude and also changing our perspective. We only have probably 100 or 120 years left as a species on this earth. And call me crazy, but it's scientifically proven. There is absolutely no way that this earth will support our human life for another. We only have like 100 years left. In comfortable times, things are changing because of our need for materialism. We have a system where there's a lot of oppression. There is a lot of things teaching us to not be ourselves. And we have the power as a worldwide species. There's 1% of the humans in this earth that dictate what goes on, what we buy, what we see, what we feel. What we feel is within ourselves, but we are trained to think and focus on other things. If we, as a species, were to have entire focus on the earth, all of these systems would break down. Oppression would break down. Racism would obliterate itself. A lot of crime would obliterate itself if our focus was completely on nature and God. We are in a misguided society where there's nothing but lies and untruths. And the way through it, not to sweep things under the rug, is have an internal revolution, an internal independent emotional expansion. We have a lot more power than we even realize as human beings. And after realizing all of these things, and I don't even think I could even explain every single thing in words, it's more of a knowing and not empirical way. But after all of these things, the last 6 years of my life, I haven't thrown away any food. I have reduced my trash to about this size a month of trash that I throw away. And it's a big focus of mine is trash reduction. I'm obsessed with trash. That's another thing I'm obsessed with. I'm obsessed with a lot of things, but trash is one of the big things. And composting has definitely changed my life, has guided me to a lot of internal awakenings. And even though I don't do it perfectly, I could probably have a way better system that I'm growing a lot more. And I actually have a garden. Right now, I'm just recovering from a poop garden because of my dog had 11 puppies. So I just cleaned up my poop garden. We got to lighten up. Simple. It's simple. We got to lighten up. We got to stop taking things so personal. There's a lot of Native truths. I've learned a lot of these things from Native teachings. I'm not Native myself, but I've read and took in a lot of, and listened and reflected on myself and just really reflected on the lessons that I've gotten from worldwide different things, from Buddhism, Hinduism, Native American teachings they all bring me back to the truth of nature and connection with a higher power, loving oneself and being kind with other people. Instead of deviling into all these psychological things like he said, she said stuff, or he did this, or yada, yada, yada. And I'm just saying this. I don't do this perfectly all the time. I am a drama queen myself. I am rough around the edges and I'm feisty. And these are all identifications that I just started saying about myself because socially, that's just how it is.
That's fair enough. And this is really interesting to talk to you. What is the one thing you would like listeners to take away from this conversation today, if they can only do one thing?
Life ain't that serious. We can get snatched away any second. We just gotta have fun as much as possible.
Love that. Thank you. If people want to find out more about Compost Cultura or yourself, or just, talk to you some more,
you can go to compostcultura.org. That's the website. Or you could check out my YouTube channel. I have 2 YouTube channels. I run 3 businesses, actually. Compost Cultura. So it's compostcultura.org. Just search at Compost Cultura on YouTube. I offer free consultations for composting and trash reduction. It's a site where I sell compost bins, indoor and outdoor compost bins. Instagram is the same name, at Compost Cultura. I also have a small car rental business in Alaska. I manage it when I'm there, but when I'm in Arizona, I have a team manage it for me, thank goodness. That's on Turo. I don't even know what the name for I don't even know. Just if you're in Anchorage and you need a Jeep or a Bronco, that's where it's at. And then, Magnetic Soul Healing is magneticsoulhealing.org across all platforms, YouTube and Instagram at Magnetic Soul Healing. I only work with women or femme identified individuals. I do not work with men, straight men. So, but yeah.
Fair enough. Amazing. No, wonderful. I'll put it all in the show notes. Thank you, Jess, for your time. Also, I appreciate those who can't see her. She's been doing this on a walking treadmill the whole time, which is super impressive
It's on
as
the
well.
lowest speed.
And really good for the soul.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
ever so much.